I'm Eileen Downs. I work for Merle Maple Farm, and today we're going to make maple sugar shapes, the maple sugar candies. We want the syrup to be low invert, so we like it to be less than 0.5%. We mix a bunch of drums together. We actually buy it from different producers. We don't make the syrup here, but we buy it from different producers and mix it in the 800-gallon tote, and then I check the invert. Right now, the tote that we have is a 0.4% inverted sugar. And the reason we look for a low invert is because it keeps better. Both uncoated and coated, the shelf life is a lot longer with a low invert. You can make sugar out of any syrup, it's just whether it's going to keep, how long it's going to keep. Because we sell it to a lot of wholesale places, we want it to keep for up to 6 months. That's our goal. So we really look for that low invert syrup, and we buy it from 3 or 4 different producers in the area and mix them together. So we have a blend. So our goal is to boil the syrup to 236 degrees. That's our number that we shoot for based on our elevation and the barometric pressure. We adjust the thickness of the sugar with a little bit of water later in the process. So we just shoot for that number as opposed to going a certain degrees above the boiling point of water on a certain day. Plus we're vacuum cooling, so that takes out more water. But that is our, everybody's numbers could be a little bit different based on their elevation and the barometric pressure on a given day. We're just at 236. Well, we're just barely at 236 degrees. So I'm going to turn off my kettle and dump the syrup into my pan that I'm going to vacuum cool into. Now, when I get to the bottom here, I don't want to scrape because we don't want to introduce any crystals, and scraping causes crystals to form. So I'm just we'll rinse that out and save the rinsings, but then I'm gonna move over here and put this vacuum top on. We're gonna go down to 150 degrees. So this is vacuum cooling. We are waiting for it to just cool down, and by putting it under a vacuum, you're removing more water and it's cooling it down, but it cools down the whole 3 gallons of maple syrup to the same temperature. If you put it in a cold water bath, you'd end up with cold on the outside and still hot in the center. This is going to be all the same. And even though it's like it's boiling in there, therefore it's not actually crystallizing. We don't, unless you introduce a crystal in there to begin with, you don't end up with a solid crystal, because every once in a while that happens, but hopefully not today. This process is a lot faster than just cooling with a water bath. Besides the fact that it ends up all the same temperature, it'll only take it about 3 to 5, maybe 3 minutes to get from above 200 degrees to down to 150, besides the fact that it's so consistent. So we're just about at 150 degrees, and now you can see in through the plexiglass a lot better. You can actually see it boiling in there, but we're at 150 degrees, so I'm going to turn the vacuum off. And then in preparation for the next batch, we wipe off any syrup that's on the temperature probe, because we don't want that to form crystals between now and the next batch. And now this is going to go to the mixer. Okay, so now it's on the mixer, so I'm going to add a little bit of crumbs from last time when we made maple sugar. That's seeding. So just like with maple cream, it helps to add a little bit of the crystal that you want to form. And then I'm going to turn it on, and I just have to step over here. Bring the paddle down into it, and then we're going to turn it up a little bit. And within a minute to 2 minutes, it'll dry right out. And then we'll add a little water back to it and get it to a cookie dough consistency and go into the sugar machine. You can see it's really glossy right now. It'll lose its glossiness as the crystals form. You can hear the difference in the machine, and you can see it's drying right out. Okay. I'm just going to scrape the edge of the bowl. And we found it really helps to have it stir as fast as you can and keep it in the bowl. You get a better crystal formation. So now I'm going to let it stir, and I'm going to add a little bit of water back to it. Okay, so now we're going to transfer it to the sugar machine. So I'm going to take the bowl off of here. This is the Sunrise sugar machine, and it has a hot water jacketed container on the top. So we have it heated to 150 degrees, 155, and it has a gear pump on it, so it just stirs the sugar around in a circle, but it also holds it at a temperature where it'll continue to be flowable and not set up. Spritzing with a little water, yep. Okay. So this is just a point and shoot thermometer that we check the temperature with. And we're a little on the cool side. We're at 130 degrees. We really want it to be 145 to 150. So I'm going to stick the cover on and we'll let it sit for a minute, and the temperature will come back up, because that'll just bring the temperature up a lot faster. Okay, so we're going to see if this is up to temperature now. We're at 140 degrees, so that should be good. It's a little bit low from where I want it. I would have liked to see it more at 145, but we'll stir it up a minute, and maybe by the time we get going, it'll be good. I'll check it again. Okay, so we're going to get started. So first I'm going to run a little into a pie pan, just to make sure that there's nothing, that it's flowing well, I guess. Oops. We fill 4 molds, 4 cavities at a time with the 4-head filler. Goes a little faster that way. The only downside to having the 4 cavities filled at once is you can see the outside one on my left is not filling quite as full. And then I shake it down a little bit to flatten them out. So now the sugar needs to set for about 45 minutes, and then we'll be able to take it out of the molds. I'll turn the fan on so that it cools it down a little quickly, and we'll be good to go. We'll show you that process in a few minutes. Okay, so now the sugar is ready to come out of the molds. So we start at the top of the rack. And I'm going to line this up so that the pieces will fall down in between the bars. And then I just have to roll the rolling pin over it. And well, whoops, left a couple. Janet usually does this. So then you just pop those out, but we'll try again. There. Before we had the mold popper, this is how we used to do it. We used to have to take them, flip them over, and push each one out. And your thumbs got sore by the end of the day.